What is up, Nerf Nation? It's your boy Nomadico, and I am back with another blaster review. Today, we are actually going to be reviewing part of the N series. This is one of the N series blasters that was quote-unquote a silent launch in the fact that it came out mid-2024 without much fanfare. It is a Target exclusive as far as I know, and it is averaging prices around $29.99 of those things that were on springtime. They had the spring sale, and the price dropped down to $11.99, so I said, what the hey? And that's why I have the Shadow Storm. Yes, the Shadow Storm, though I try to call it the Storm Shadow, though that's another Hasbro product, G.I. Joe. It is an ICS blaster. This is basically a remake of, I want to say, the Ghost or the Lock and Load, but for N series. It is an internal clip system, and it can hold up to 8 darts. Now, it does come with 24 N series darts. That being said, you have enough darts to load up 3 times. With this blaster, you also get the detachable buttstock, this front piece that can attach here, and this is the only actual N-Series blaster that has a detachable barrel so far, and you get a nifty little sight. Now, one thing about this sight, it could probably be used with some of the other blasters, is that it does have crosshairs in it, which is kind of cool. I dig that. I'm glad that Hasbro brought back crosshairs instead of just leaving us with an empty tube, as they did a lot with Alpha Strike and with Elite 2.0. So, that being said, it is an ICS. I don't expect too much performance out of it, but I've been proven wrong by N-Series so far. Sometimes their ICS systems are pretty decent. Now, I will tell you that one thing about this blaster, it does have tactical rails galore. You have one very long tactical rail up here, as well as 2 N-Strike series attachment points, and one on either side. Cool part about this blaster is that there is no ugly side. Nerf is painted on this side, as well on that side. So that is one thing. I dig it. I like it. One thing I want to point out to everybody about this is because there's been some comments recently about their upcoming blasters and people that are wondering how the buttstocks are going to be mounted. You will notice, I'm going to show you one difference between this and Elite Series, is that on the actual lug, it has grooves on both the top and the bottom. Now, with the original Elite Series and the original N-Strike lugs, the grooves were only on the bottom side because the actual part that you would press to detach the blaster were on the sides, and the spring was from the bottom. With N-Series, they're on the top. That is why this button right here is what you press down to pull the buttstock off. However, they have the grooves on both sides because if you wanted to, you can use standard original Elite buttstocks on here. That is why that answers the question. So when you see a buttstock coming up for the 2025 releases and you see that the grooves are all over the place, that is why, because they're designed to take both N-Series buttstocks and Elite Series buttstocks. So there you go. I'm saying buttstock a lot. Now, to load the blaster, of course, you slide this back. That is not the most comfortable slide, I'm not going to lie. I wish that had a little bit more grip on it. And you take your dart, and just like any other ICS, you load it in here. The blaster is now ready to fire. Now, N-Series does claim that it can hit up to 85 to 90 FPS. We will have to see if those numbers hold true with this blaster. I have proven that N-Series can actually take some good upgrades. What do I mean? My agility, with a simple spring upgrade, I have it hitting 115, 120s with N darts. With the Infinite, I actually have it consistently hitting 150 with a simple spring upgrade. And that's it. No cutting of the darts at all. If you cut the darts or convert it, you know what? You're going to get a lot more than that. It's as much as I did not like the blaster stock, it can perform when it needs to. And the Sprinter does have a half-dart conversion, but like I said, you can lipo it, and you can get a boost in performance that way either way. So let's see what this one can do. I'm not sure. I'm excited to open it up, but that's not going to be for another video for another day. So that being said, let's go run these tests, and we'll be back with my final thoughts regarding the Shadow Storm. Echoes of a playful fight, testing blasters through the night. Okay, so we're out on the parking lot to test to see how far we can shoot with the Shadow Storm. I want to call it the Storm Shadow still for some reason, but whatever. We're actually going to do two types of testing. We're going to actually do it with the barrel extension as well as without to see if the barrel does slow down the dart or make a difference. Huh. I need another N1 dart. I always keep an extra dart with me in my car. Don't ask. Let's go see how far these darts actually shot. Okay, so hopefully you can hear me over the wind noise, but it is very windy out here today, and you can see that by the testing. I am not going to call this an accurate test at all, but when you have a long, strong gust of wind of about 25 miles an hour, an N1 dart is actually capable of hitting 160 feet of distance at an angled shot. The accuracy of it, well, not very well, but, you know, whatever. You can technically hit 160 feet with this under the right conditions. The actual difference between barrel on, barrel off, it was negligible, honestly. With the straight shot, which would have had less wind, we got a total of 82 and I want to say 90 feet. So 90 feet was with the barrel on, 82 was with the barrel off. And the barrel off actually got a lot of wind when we did that test. So that's where it got 160 feet and 135 feet. Now, realistically, what you'd be able to duplicate without much wind is right around 110, maybe, 100 feet of distance with this blaster doing an angled shot. But straight shot, definitely the 70 to 80 feet does seem about right. So not too bad. Again, you can run it barrel on, barrel off. Obviously, with the barrel on, you're probably going to get a much more accurate shot than with the barrel off. But that being said, I will tell you that accuracy with N1 darts, not the greatest. Even though it has a nice little sight here, it does aim much lower than what it actually is, or I should say, it aims higher than what where it actually shoots at. So, up next, my final thoughts regarding the Shadows. Okay, so I'm back with my final thoughts regarding the actual Shadow Storm. So I want to like the blaster. I do. It's not bad. It's not, horrible. There are worse blasters out there that are part of the N series, in my opinion. That being said, though, there were a couple of missed opportunities with this blaster, and let me go into this. So, for starters, you have tactical rails on both sides, which is fantastic in a world of 3D printing because 3D printers can design something that you can actually use this for. That being said, in a world without 3D printing, what are you going to use this for if this is your introduction to Nerf? Let's say you're just starting out now, you don't have any of the older blasters, you don't have any of the older attachments that used to come out with the blasters and all that stuff. This is your first foray into the hobby. So you see the Shadow Storm. All right, this is cool. You pick up a Shadow Storm. And you see all these cool tactical rails. All right, it's tactical. What are you going to do with them? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Why? Because Hasbro is yet to release a pack with just tactics that you could actually attach to your blasters for the N series. They did it with Elite, did it with the N Strike series. They kind of did it with the modular series as well, that they sold individual little components that you could add, which was really cool and really neat. But in a world of shelf space on the retail platforms, you are not going to find those anymore. And Hasbro does not offer them online via their website either. So that being said, it makes you wonder, what are they trying to do with this? Are they trying to encourage us in the 3D printing community to actually design our own stuff? Hey, that's fine, 3D printers to the rescue, but not everybody has access to the 3D printer, and not everyone actually has the skills to do stuff in CAD. So that being said, it's a missed opportunity for Hasbro to actually reintroduce their line of attachments that they could sell in the stores and generate a little bit more revenue for them. Personally, me, I'm a tactical junkie. I love all the attachments. I think they're really neat. I think they're fun for, pretend play in the house, especially with small children. It's great. This site, in spite of it not really being accurate, it adds a degree of coolness to this. So again, Hasbro, you're tossing out money that you could be making by designing your blasters in such a fashion that allows for these things and then not utilizing them. So that being said, it's a missed opportunity. Now, the other issue that I take with this blaster, it looks like it should be magazine fed, and it does have an internal magazine, internal clip system, but this is the kind of blaster that actually screams mag fed. It looks very similar to a Retaliator, which is one of the most epic blasters that Hasbro ever created. In fact, to this day, the Retaliator mod just refuses to die. Almost everyone's first Springer mod, outside of the Penny mod, is a Retaliator. Why? Because it's easy to convert to actually get pro performance using a kit. Congratulations. You can probably do the same with this one. Now, I've not seen the internals in this one, but I can guarantee you, based on what I've had with all of the other N series, you can slap a K25 spring in here or a much beefier spring, and it will take it and it will shoot much better. Now, performance-wise, we got 80 to 85, high of 87, so that's right around N series standards, and that's okay because for the target audience of an 8-year-old, that's perfect. Like, that's great. It gives them a higher speed than Elite, and the darts are easy to find. They're pretty durable. I'm going to tell you that much. N series darts are very durable. I think I've lost out of, right now, I want to say roughly 400 that I've had from all of the blaster sets, and the fact that I've picked up a couple of 100 packs on sale. I think I've lost like maybe 3 or 4, and that was because I have a puppy, and she destroyed them. Puppy teeth are a thing, guys. So, that being said, though, it is an okay blaster for that regards. Now, what is not okay, in my opinion, and this is a design error, this priming mechanism. It is very easy. It's very low profile right here, which is great because, it allows you to aim somewhat, but because of its low profile, it's easy for your hand to slip. So that being said, I kind of take off points from that. Even G-Rex had an issue when it came to priming. He's like, okay, yeah, my hand kind of wants to slip off of here. So it would have been nice had they actually made this a little bit larger or give more of a handhold instead of it being so skinny. But I understand for aesthetic purposes, they don't want to have this droop down too much. The one thing, though, that needs to be addressed, and it is inexcusable at this point, all right? This spring right here, I can almost guarantee you, based on the lack of, I want to say, springiness, is actually just a plastic piece. I am almost willing to bet this blaster that if I could open it up, what I'm going to find in there is not an actual trigger spring. It's an actual plastic piece that pulls off the trigger, and that's what causes that issue. Mainly because that is a really hard trigger pull, and when it's primed, it is much harder to pull. The first time I actually tried to pull the trigger on this blaster, I'll be honest with you, I thought that the blaster was jamming up. So, a couple of trigger pulls, now it's actually a little looser, but it is a very stiff trigger. How stiff? If we can point out to the Moto, the Moto Blitz. No, not the Moto Blitz. The Moto Strike. The Moto Strike had a horrible trigger system as well. And yeah, you had to mod it to fix it. The other one is the Recon Mark II had a pretty bad trigger system. So that's kind of what this trigger feels like. I'll be honest with you. All in all, who is this blaster for? You know, the blaster does say 8 and up, and 8 and up is fine. You could probably drop it down to 7. Because of the trigger, I doubt anyone younger than 7 is actually going to enjoy this because they're going to have a hard time pulling that trigger necessarily. Like, again, I am a very adult male, and that trigger is stiff for me. The only other trigger that's probably harder than this one is the one that comes stock with the sender. So, you know, again, that's a kind of a bad design that they did here. But is it fun for everybody? Absolutely. It's a fun blaster. That's what the N-Series is about. That is what I've been trying to tell everyone who likes to rag on the N-Series is that, look, it's not made for us in the hobby. It is made for the 8-year-olds that are entering Nerf, that want to have something stronger because, and I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to get on my soapbox once again, I grew up with N-Strike, okay? Everybody grew up with, like, actually, I didn't grow up, but in my formative years, N-Strike was the thing, and I'm talking about the years that I could actually afford the stuff myself, without having to have mommy and daddy buy it for me. N-Strike does not perform very well. Straight up, it's horrible. Okay? There's a couple of really cool blasters that came with it, but when you look at the performance compared to what we have now, it's like, okay. We're looking back with rose-colored glasses, folks. Now, the darts back then, of course, you know, the Streamline darts were crap. You know, I've tried to launch a brand new, fresh Streamline dart recently. I'm just like, oh my gosh, did these things like deteriorate over time? Or no, they didn't, because they were fresh in a freaking vacuum sealed bag. They just didn't perform that well. We look back with rose-colored glasses, guys. Nostalgia glasses, as they're called. So, that being said, for a kid who's never played with an Elite blaster before, N-Series is perfect for them. Okay? Now, you all might not want to adopt a new dart type, and I get it. Change is hard. And for the looks of it, it looks like Hasbro might try to release some more Elite blasters down the line. They've done the Star Wars reshell, and they might do limited releases for Elite darts, but again, N-Series is not as bad as everyone thinks it is. It does need help. It does need some corrections. It needs an AccuStrike series. I think that with doing that, they would perfect the N1 dart, and at that point in time, that is a perfectly new dart format to use. So just keep that in mind. Would you take this out to a Nerf war? You know, maybe in a sub 100 round, if you wanted to be goofy, you could. Just to goof around in a park, that's fine. That blaster, the good part about the N-Series is it can be used indoors and outdoors. Indoors, it's not too powerful. It's going to knock something off. Outdoors, the darts are big enough you're going to find them easily. So, and they have a good constitution, so they're not going to be destroyed easily either. So at least there's that. Now, I want to address once again and once and for all the cost issue. So this blaster is $29.99. Would I have bought it at $29.99? No, absolutely not. Like, Hasbro needs to get it out of their head that they think that that's a good price point for that. That is closer to like a $15 to $20 blaster, and that's okay. I got it for $11.99, and that's fine. You know, the Strike Back was $24.99, and you know what? $24.99 for what the Strike Back could do, I was okay with it because it was more fun than this one. So yeah, just keep that in mind. But if you can find it on sale, it's worth a buy. You know, it's not too bad. It's better than some other alternatives out there, such as buying yet another Jolt or yet another Ward or another Flex. So that being said, you know, there you have it. So if you have any more blasters that you want me to review, go ahead and actually do so in the comments. I'll be more than happy to see what I can do. I'm going to be switching to doing more reviews as opposed to live streams, even though I do love interacting with everybody, but there's some things that I have cooking in the back burner that I want to take care of, and unfortunately, the current slew of live streams that I do does not allow for that. So until next time, y'all, keep on blasting.